We are holding in Perek Gimel of Daniel. The last thing that we learned about was the long dream and Daniel's interpretation. And now we move on to the next story of Daniel. This is a famous story which is associated with Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Daniel is not found in the story, and is a big question why, and we'll get to it as we go along. What happens is as follows. At this point, Nevuchadnetzar Malka, Nevuchadnezzar the king, Avad Tzleim Didahav, he creates a golden statue, Rumei Amin Shitin, which is 60 amas tall, Psoye Amin Shis, and is 6 amas wide, Akime Bevikas Dura B'Medinas Bavel, and he builds it in the Valley of Dura in the country of Bavel. So what's going on over here? What's this whole statue? What's this all about? So first of all, the size is enormous, yeah? 60 amas is about 90 feet. That's how usually it's measured. 90 feet. How tall is 90 feet? Pretty tall. 90 feet is very, very tall. I think this building is maybe from outside over there to the top is probably 20 feet, 25 feet maybe. Huh? The water tower is maybe 90 feet. That could be. It's a huge monument. And it's made out of solid gold, and it says it was only 6 amas wide. And here, logistically, we have a big issue. Because if you take metal, and you put the metal together, and you make it very tall, it's not going to stand properly. So how do you get the metal to stand? So you have to do is, this is Bechlal, when it comes to all buildings, if you want a building to be a skyscraper, you want to build a large building, what do? You have to dig deep into the ground, and make strong, solid foundations. I remember when the JCM was built. The JCM was everybody knows where it is, in Crown Heights over there, Eastern Parkway. So I remember before they built it, it was just like an empty lot. They tore down whatever was there, and they were digging and digging deeper and deeper and deeper. So besides the fact that I think there's 2 levels of the basement, but I remember they went even deeper than that, and like for months and months, they were just digging deep, because they knew what kind of building they want to build, so they had to go so deep to have a strong structure to be able to hold everything up. So in order to get such a high statue of gold, says the Chazal, they tell us that Nevuchadnezzar brought with him all the gold from Yerushalayim. He melted it all down, and he made this huge underneath base for it, and this way he was able to keep it up. The Shilas was his intention. Yeah.
How does that gold reappear in the story of Purim?
Well, we'll see what happens with the statue at the end of the story. Then we'll see how to get back. So, what's the point of building this this tower? So, there's 2 explanations in the Mefarshim, and it's very possible Nebuchadnezzar has both intentions. Both intentions are connected to the dream that he had before. He had this dream, and the dream was very foreboding. It was basically saying that your kingdom is not going to last forever. Soon it's going to be taken over by other kingdoms, and eventually taken over by the Jews. And Nebuchadnezzar doesn't want that. He wants to be king. He wants to rule supreme forever. And he doesn't want this threat that's being told to him. So therefore, he wants 2 things. He wants all the countries to accept him as the superpower, and he also wants to make sure that the Jews are not going to be able to take over again. So how does he go about this? So he basically wants to make all the countries to come and accept him as in charge, and that's why he's building this tower. And as we'll see later, what happens with it. Another intention is, he knows that the Jews, whenever they don't listen to the Eibishter, they fail. Unfortunately, this is something which you see very begilui for the bathroom. Some of them are yes, some of them are not. Everybody knows they go to the bathroom. See you, goodbye. Whenever Yidden listen to the Eibishter, things work out well. Unfortunately, now in Eretz Yisrael, we see this over the years, that the Rebbe said so many times what to do. And whenever they start listening to the Rebbe, things work out. When they don't listen, things fall apart again. It's a very, very sad reality. And the Rebbe is a messenger of Hashem. When you listen to Hashem, things work out. If Chas v'Shalom, not. So Nevuchadnezzar makes a cheshbon, if I'll get the Jews to do avodah zarah, b'meila, they're going to fall into my hands, and Hashem won't protect them. So that's his kavanah by building this huge statue. His kavanah is that he wants all the goyim to accept him as in charge, and he also wants the Jews to do avodah zarah. Now, in addition to everything else, so the simple way of the Pesukim, Chazal say that Nevuchadnezzar had a lot of connections with Kishuf and with Koiches Tumah, and that's also the reason why he came to this place of Bikas Dura. Because Bikas Dura, Chazal say, is the place where they built over there Migdal Bavel many, many years ago. And over there it says there's a lot of koiches of Tumah, of Klippa. So today, for example, in America, there's a certain state, a certain city, which is known to have lots of black magic. Right, Yaakov, where's that? Never heard. New Orleans. New Orleans is known to be a place of black magic. I don't know if it's real or not. Huh? Where? Fairfield is a shtetl, but officially the whole city of New Orleans is a place of black magic. That's why you have these sorcerers that come out of there, right? Yaakov is the anacle of New Orleans.
Also India, no?
India, yeah. I was thinking America. The Chiddush is in America. So you have Bikas Dura. So these places are they have these powers of Keiches of Tumah. So Nevuchadnetzar specifically went there. He was trying to use a Keiches of Tumah. The Rizal says a very interesting thing. The Rizal says Nevuchadnetzar was a Gilgul of Nimrod. And that's why they have the same first and last letter of their names. Because Netzer really means king. So Nevuchadnetzar, the Nevuchad and Nimrod both start with a nun and with a dalet. So he's using those keiches of klipa, and then what he did was he took the tzitz azov, he took the golden tzitz of the kohen gadol, and he put it inside the statue, and it started speaking. So today, when you see a statue speaking, okay, there's AI again. No, what's the big deal? We're not mispo from these things. But on Molech Tzaitin, that was a real deal. It's like imagine Yaakov comes and gives a shiur. That's beyond AI. That's like, so there must be some kind of New Orleans black magic happening over here. So this is like the statue speaking was beyond what's going on over here. So people came, everyone was like, what's going on? As we'll soon see what Nevuchadnezzar is going to do with this whole building, statue. Yes, Yaakov. Apparently, there's a concept of Tumah where Tumah is seeped in because of a lot of avodas that were done over there. In the ground and the ear. And there's something called Tara Sa'avi. When you say we have it in Hayom now. If you say Mishnayis Balpeh, Tani Balpeh, you're actually purifying the ear around you. If you enter a holy place, you feel a certain holiness. Some people don't feel it. But by Klippa, the same thing. An element of Klippa. So those people that have a power to tap into it, they can go to those places and tap it. We have by Bilam. When Bilam wanted to curse the Jews, he told Balak, take me to this place, that place. And he was trying to find that, it's like have to catching service on your phone. You don't catch it the right place. It's like you have to know how to catch these places. So Bekitzer, so he comes to this place over here. So Nevuchadnezzar builds up this huge mountain, statue, It's a huge statue. And like we said, it's very, very tall and it's very powerful. Klippas, and also it's speaking. Then what does he do? Then he has these 2-inch kavanas that he wants to accomplish. He wants to get all the people to accept him as king, and once they accept him as king, that's it, that's over. Like Bechlav, when it comes to countries, often countries will make peace treaties with other countries with the intention that now I'm in charge, which is going to happen over here. Nevuchadnetzar Malka Shlach, he sent messengers Lemichnash to gather together. Now we have a whole bunch of words that the Mefarshim have a hard time explaining. Lachashtar Penayo, Signayo, Ufachavoso, Adar Gozrayo, Gedov Rayo, Disovrayo, Tiftoye, V'chol Shultanya Bidinasa. Basically, many types of leaders. Now, in America, we have different types of people of importance in a city or in a state. First of all, we have the president, obviously, and the vice president. Then we have every state. The head of every state is called governor. Then you have the head of every city is called a mayor. And then you have representatives of the state to the federal government. What are the representatives called? Senators or congressmen. There's two different groups of representatives. It's called the senators, the Senate, and then there's the Congress, and they represent either the state or the amount of people that are there. And it's, all these people are important and they're choshev. And then of course then each city has its own community of a community council or city council. So you have a whole bunch of different levels of people. Now, it could be that this Nevuchadnezzar is inviting basically all the people of importance, but some of Farshim say in Chazal, he was more inviting from every different type of country. Because like also we know in America, the head of America is called the president. In other countries, the head of the country in Israel is called the prime minister. In Canada, it's called the premier. No, but there's another word for it also. The premier, there's another word for that. No, because maybe Canada's prime minister, but there's other places, as they say premier, then you have, of course, kings in different places. So you have different countries that didn't die. So Nevuchadnezzar, who was basically the superpower at the time, so even though he was a superpower, everyone accepted him as such, he wanted an even stronger power, so he invites all the leaders of all the countries, of all the governments around to come. And he says, L'meisei lechanukas salma, the Hakem Nevuchadnetzar Malka. And here he was tricking them. He said, I want to make an unveiling. Yeah? Yaakov, what's unveiling? You know? Unveiling? Anybody knows? Surely, what's an unveiling? Unveiling, no? When they put up any kind of important statue or monument, they have it covered first, and when they unveil it, now, everyone sees this beautiful new statue. So he invites them all to the unveiling, and then, second. And he says they should all come. Now he's just saying that I just built this beautiful statue, and I want you guys all come to participate in this special ceremony, in the ribbon cutting ceremony. And Ibedavke didn't tell them what he really wants, because he knew that if he's going to tell them, I'm looking over here to make you guys my servants, and I want to solidify my government, that from now on I'm in charge, there will be a concern about it. So therefore Ibedavke did it in such a way where he was tricking them. He didn't tell them what he really wants, and they're all going to come, and then when they get there, he'll be able to, which happens all the time, especially in old history, where you have kings inviting each other and then suddenly threatening them, okay, if you don't give in to my demands right now, then now you're my territory, I can kill you. So all these kind of tricks, we have it by Shamil, the famous story. You have all the time where governments trick each other, so he's doing the same thing over here. He's looking to trick everybody. So then the pasuk continues, Beidayin, Miskanshin, indeed everyone came, they all gathered together, Ta'achashtar Panaya, Signaya, Ufachavosa, Adar Gozraya, Godvaraya, the Sovraya Tiftoye, V'chel Sultanim Medinose, Lachanukas Talma, the Hakem Nevuchadnetzar Malka. This that Nevuchadnezzar the king had established, they all came over there, they all came to this place to celebrate the ceremony. Now that they're all there, they're standing around, I assume that there was food, and there was a kind of party, and there's definitely going to be music, which is a big part of it, as we'll see in a moment. And then they're all standing around, and they're about to start the ceremony, and then, there was a loud announcement made, to all you countries of the world. Now, there wasn't the actual countries, it was the representatives. But to all representatives of all the countries of the world, so this is the following announcement. Now, I didn't point this out there, but this is going to be very important for the whole story. In addition to representatives of all the governments and all the nations, there was also representatives of the Jews. Which Jews were there, we're going to soon see. But everyone is there, and this announcement goes to everybody. And the announcement continues. When you guys are going to hear the voice of what? Karno, Mashrekiso, Kasrois, Shapcha, Psanterin, Sumpoinyo, V'choyos Nezimra. These are names, the postures of different types of instruments. Now, the only one which is similar today to any word in English is Sumpoinyo. What does Sumpoinyo sound like? Sumpoinyo? Symphony. It's not an instrument, but it's part of music. What's the difference between a symphony and an orchestra? Aren't they both like a whole band, a choir making a whole presentation? Yeah. So what's the difference? Symphony and orchestra? No.
Symphony is the actual arrangement.
Orchestra is the performance?
The orchestra is the actual
people
and the symphony
is the arrangement.
It's like all of them.
So that word is a word we have today also. Then there's psanter. Psanter is also a word in modern Hebrew. Psanter is a word for a piano. So I don't know if there's the same meaning over here, but it's different types of instruments. Psanter. In modern Hebrew, psanter is a piano. So he has some Mefarshim try explaining what instrument is what. Some instruments are wind instruments, you have to blow them. Some of them are string instruments, some of them are banging instruments. So there's some Mefarshim try to break it up, but there's 7 instruments over here. And the announcement says, when you guys hear the instruments, when you hear all the instruments playing and all the things coming out, Tiplun v'siskedun l'tzelem dahava. You have to fall and bow down to the statue of Nevuchadnezzar. And they're now suddenly locked in this ceremony, and they suddenly realize that this was a whole trick for them just to catch them over here. And the bowing down, so again, there's 2 kavanas over here. There's an element of avodah zarah, and there's an element of accepting Nebuchadnezzar's rulership, that he is in charge. And he's hoping by doing this out of gold and saying, I'm going to last forever now, I'm going to build myself up and make myself a superpower. It's al derech, we have what's called the 1,000-year Reich. What was the 1,000-year Reich? Yitzchak, you know? The 1,000-year Reich, Chaim, you know? The 1,000-year Reich, Shmulik? Hitler, Yamach Shemoy, when he became the leader of Germany, there's chancellor. Germany is not prime minister, it's chancellor, right? So there you see, so different countries have different names for their leaders. So when he became the leader, he told his people, his country, I'm going to make a government, we're making Germany the superpower, and we're going to last for 1,000 years, the 1,000-year Reich. That was his, like a Reich means, I guess, reign. We're going to reign, we're going to rule supreme for at least 1,000 years. That was his dream. Baruch Hashem, it didn't last for too long, but unfortunately, those few years that it did last, whatever it was, 7, 8 years, or he was never really supreme of the whole world, but whatever he was definitely a very strong power. It's considered 4 years. He was ruler for 12 years, but from what age? From not 33, I know, but from when do you consider it to be like a superpower? The Chayra, only when he started World War II, and he started. So probably either in 39, 40, 41, one of those years it was considered when he became like mamish powerful, but Baruch Hashem, it was finished. Of course, the damage in between. So we have a similar sentiment over here of Nevuchadnetzar trying to get everyone to accept him as ruler, and he's going to last forever, and now this is the moment that he's making it. He's making this announcement, and his goal is that all the leaders, if the president, if the governors, prime ministers, they all bow down to him, accept him, they're going to come back home. It's basically an expression that the whole government accepted him. When Obama was president, so Obama, he went, I think, to India, one of these Muslim countries or somewhere, and he bowed down to one of these Muslim leaders. And the American media was very upset because says America is not the superpower. You're bowing down to somebody else. You're basically implying that they're better than us, so they're stronger than us. So Obama was Muslim, whatever his mices were. So he was giving over to something else. But it's a big chutzpah. When a leader does something, it reflects on the whole country. And this is Nevuchadnezzar's ploy over here, what he's trying to do, to get everybody to listen, to everybody to bow down, to accept him as ruler. And this way, he's guaranteed in his mind to be ruler forever. And then he adds another clause, which obviously everything has to be what you have to do, and what if not? Like Baruch always asks, is a rule. What if not? What if I don't do what's going to happen? Says Nevuchadnezzar, "Oman di lo yipal v'yizgud." Whoever doesn't fall and bow down, ba shaisa yisremei legoy atun nura yikadata, will be seized and thrown into a burning furnace. There's a burning furnace over here. It was a furnace that was made for burning bricks. Very, very hot, and anyone that doesn't bow down was going to be thrown into this furnace. So this way, he's sure that everyone's going to listen to him. So the Goyim, for sure, are afraid to get killed, and they're for sure going to go give in. Now, with the Jews, he's more concerned, because what's his goal? His goal over here is not to kill the Jews. His goal is to get the Jews to bow down to him, so this way Hashem won't protect them. But he has to scare them into doing it. So telling them to do it, the Jew will say no for sure, he didn't accomplish. So he has to threaten a real threat that they'll actually do. That's the threat that he does. So the announcement goes out, everyone hears what's going on, and then, sure enough, Kol kavel dena beizimna kidei shamin kol amamaya. Right away, that time there was all the nations heard. Kol karna mashrekisa kasres sapcha santeidin v'chels nezimra. Whoever is paying attention, you'll notice that he repeats almost all the instruments besides the symphony instrument. That is not repeated. He does not repeat the symphony instrument, but everything else was. Now, when you're hearing a choir, so you don't notice every single instrument. We said the story of Toscanini many times, right? You don't notice every single last musician that's there, but you hear all the music going on, so you know, okay, the music's happening now. So really, he skipped out one bedavke, as we'll soon see why, but everything else was playing. And as soon as he did it, Noflin Kolam Emaya Umaya Velishonaya, all the nations representatives that were there, they all Sogdin Letzelem the Hava the Hakem Nevuchadnetzar Malka. They should bow down. They all started bowing down to the statue. Now there is an opinion actually that says that besides the people that came over here, he actually had sent out messengers earlier to all the cities around the world, and then at the same time there were miniature choirs, miniature bands in all these other places, and then they all at the same time, it's like like they have the bell. So in America we don't have it, but in Eretz Yisrael they have the sirens on special days, which is a big source of controversy in Eretz Yisrael. When they have on Yom Ha'atzmaut, they have a siren, and when the siren, the minig in Eretz Yisrael is all the people that respect the Yom Ha'atzmaut, they stand for attention. And the Frumme Yidden, they don't believe in Yom Ha'atzmaut, and they don't stand. So it's a source of a lot of fighting and all that. In America, you don't have such a concept. But when there's what's the siren? Who makes the siren? So every city has its own fire alarm system, and they all blast it at the same time. So this was a Nevuchadnezzar doing the same thing. He's using he sent messages to everyone at the same time. Tuesday, 2 o'clock, everyone's going to make the siren at the same, all these music at the same time, and they're going to start playing. And that some say, so the symphony, the Symphony, everyone didn't have it. It was like an expensive instrument. Most places didn't have it, but Nevuchadnezzar and Beis Dura did actually have it. So and everyone's bowing down, because by the Goyim, by them they're avodah zarah, it's not such a big deal. They switch from this one to that one, they're fine with it, and they all bow down. And then, now everything is happening, but what happens weiter is, Kol Kovel Deno, Beizimno, at that time, Krivu Guvrin Kasdoyin, V'achalu Kartzeyen Di Yehudoyei. A number of Kasdim, a number of Bavlim, they go over to Nevuchadnezzar and they tell him, Your Majesty, we have some bad news to say. We have to tell you about the Jews. What happened? You invited Jews here as well. And what happened was, we have to tell you how the Jews responded to your request over here. And they say, they start off by saying, Malka la'omin chayi, the king should reign forever. And they repeat his request. Ant Malka, you, your majesty, Samta te'eim, you made a decree, the kol enosh the yishma, any man that hears, kol karno mashrikisa, kasre sapcha, psantedim, v'supainda, v'cholzine zimra, whoever hears any of these instruments, yipal v'yizgur, the tzelem dahava, that should bow down immediately. And you said, Umandi lo yipel v'yizgud, whoever does not bow down, Yisremei legoy atun nura yakiyata, will be thrown into the burning furnace. Well, we have to tell you what happened. Isai guvrin Yehudoyin. There are Jewish people. Di manisa yosin alavidas medinas Bavel. They're not stam Jews. You actually appointed them to be the rulers or important ministers in the country of Bavel. Because as we remember last time, the end of last Perek, after Daniel interpreted the dream, Nevuchadnezzar was so excited he wanted to make Daniel the Mishnah Lamelech, and Daniel said, "Take my friends Hanani, Mishael, Azariah, make them in charge," and he did. Shadrach, Meshach, Vavednego, Guvraya. And Ilech and these people, they don't care about what you said. They did not bow down to your they didn't bow down to your statue. They're not worshiping the statue that you asked them to worship. So this is the report. Now, there's a very big shaila. All the Mefarshim ask, what about Daniel? I mean, Daniel's the star of the show, right? It's all Daniel. How come they didn't snitch about Daniel also? So there's a number of answers that they say. One answer, the most simple answer, is that Daniel wasn't there. Because as we said, according to the simple pshat, Nevuchadnezzar had brought representatives of all the countries. Now here's a machlokes. How many people from each country? Some say 3, some say 23. And there's a big nafkamina. Because those that say there were 3, so from the Jews there was only 3 people. Hanani, Mishael, Azariah. So Daniel's not there, so that's why obviously he was not snitched upon because he didn't do anything wrong, even according to Nevuchadnezzar. But some say there was actually 23 people that were there, 23 Jews, and the other 20 Jews ended up bowing down. The other 20 Jews couldn't stand the temptations, just like we have throughout history. Whenever there were inquisitions, wherever there was a decrees against the Jews, many times, whether it's the Muslim countries or the Christian countries, many times the Jews gave in and they bowed down and they accepted other religion. And it's very few Jews that stood strong and didn't give in. So some say it was the 20 Jews actually bowed down, and because of that, that's what led a few years later to the story of Purim with Haman. That's why, because this story of Nebuchadnezzar is it's about 50 years before the story of Achashverosh. So and these 20 Jews had to be also important people, because they were chosen by Nebuchadnezzar, they must have been representatives. And yet they gave in to the pressure, they bowed down. So because they bowed down, Hashem said, the leaders are bowing down to Getchkes, all the Jews are going to suffer, and the decree of Haman. But according to either way, Daniel is not there, so that's clear. Another interpretation, Mefarshim say, is if you remember, what was Daniel's Goyish name? Anybody remembers? Belshazzar. Bel is another name for his avodah zarah. And we said that after he interpreted the dream, Nebuchadnezzar was so amazed by Daniel, he said, "You must be a god." And he wanted to make him a god, and Daniel said, "It's okay, I don't need your worshipping." But in Nebuchadnezzar's mind, Daniel was a god. Oh, if you're a god, it's about another god. So Daniel is potter, doesn't have to bow down b'chlal, because Daniel is not a god, so he's a god himself, doesn't have to bow to the other god. But then there's another opinion that Daniel actually left town. Daniel wasn't in Bavel at the time. Where did he go? Daniel was a minister. Even though he shared the responsibilities with Hanani, Mishael, Azar, he was also very much in charge. So the Gemara says 3 reasons why he left. He went down southwest towards Israel and Mitzrayim. And he was trying to do government stuff. And the Gemara says 3 things that he went to do. One thing was he was trying to take care of a water system. Every country needs water, and therefore he was trying to arrange some kind of canal, some kind of water irrigation system from Tveria to go towards Bavel. Is different opinion exactly what he was doing, whether he was digging or negotiating. But as Nevuchadnezzar's representative, he was going to try to take care of the water system, which till today is negotiations amongst countries for water, and that was what he was trying to do. A second opinion was that Daniel was trying to take care of the crops of Bavel. Daniel came from Eretz Yisrael. Now he's living in Bavel. He's trying to take care of the economy. And he says he realizes that the animals in Bavel are not doing that well. The food in Bavel is not so good. So he said there's a certain type of seeds that they have in Eretz Yisrael. And he wanted to negotiate some kind of deal between the countries or just from the farmers to be able to buy those seeds to bring them back to Eretz Yisrael. And the third opinion, which is very interesting, the third opinion is that Daniel realized, again, he's working for the Goyish government. So you have to be a good worker. And whatever is good for the government, you have to do. So Daniel realized that Bavel is missing where Iowa has very much. What does Iowa have more than any other state? Pigs. There weren't any pigs in Bavel. And pigs is a very good industry. Very bad for the Jewish stomach or anything like that, but it's a very good industry. So Daniel actually was saying for the government it's going to be ideal. So he went to get female pigs, he went to get hogs from Alexandria in order to bring them, to raise them in a Bavel to help out. So Daniel was a very dedicated advisor. He did his job properly, the way a Yid is supposed to. You're hired by a guy, you have to do the best possible job. And according to all these reasons, he wasn't there, because that's why he wasn't in town at the time when that happened. So it could be a combination of everything. He wasn't in town, he wasn't supposed to be in town, he wasn't a representative, and he was a god anyway. But the reason why he left is because of this, and therefore he wasn't snitched upon. And the Chazal actually said that Hashem didn't want him to be there, because Hashem didn't want that people should say that what happens later with Hanani, Mishael, Azariah, is thanks to Daniel. Hashem wants them to have their own derech. Al Kolponim, so they're being snitched on, and we have to figure out what happens with them, and we have to remind ourselves why this Imponya wasn't played, Mitzvah Hashem, next time.